Hello. Howdy doody. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Great.
Fantastic. And those excited voices you hear are some friends of mine. We're going to be doing a little show here, but first, everyone, the voice you hear speaking right now is Clayton Chalman, and to my right is...
I'm Adriana.
Fantastic. And to their right is...
Hayden Hartrick.
And to his right is...
Josh.
And to his right is me, because that's it, baby. So this is a show, judging by what it's named or maybe what image we use for the cover, you probably get the general idea. We're four friends that are going to talk about some things. Three of us like one thing. One of us likes the other.
I think that's the title right there, actually.
Yeah, that honestly, three of us like one thing. One of us likes the other. That is a great
Wait,
thought.
yeah, we should always find something that we are
yeah.
3/4 opposed
Uh-huh.
in some way.
Opposed? Fully opposed?
No, 3/4.
Well, y'all are 3/4 opposed to One Piece, as far as I know.
Yeah.
yeah, damn
Yeah,
straight I am.
So three of us here,
Mm-hmm.
myself, Hayden, and Adriana are big Jojo fans.
Joe heads.
Joe heads. Joe heads. Clayton, on the other hand, Clayton's a big bad One Piece maniac. He's a One Piece fanatic.
Yeah. I got that tatted on me,
Yeah,
baby.
it's insane. And we are going to be sharing, instead of fighting like we normally do, we always fight. I always win. Clayton has decided to ask for mercy. That's not true. I had the idea because Clayton.
We were talking. We were playing a board game.
We were playing a fucking board game.
Great board
A
game.
great board game that we will mention probably at the Christmas
I was
special
crying.
of this podcast. Basically, I can't stand the fact that Clayton didn't finish JoJo. In fact, he only got he actually didn't get too far into it, which I actually understand, and we will get into that soon. And he can't even stomach the fact that not everyone he knows has read One Piece.
That's true.
So we're going to do a little switcheroo. We're going to have Clayton watch through JoJo.
Yes.
And we're going to have me, Adriana, and Hayden read One Piece.
Yes. It was a deal that was made. Incentivizing the other. I've always wanted all of my friends, really, to read One Piece. Josh offered up that he would read One Piece if I watched JoJo. And I believe Hayden was sitting nearby and got roped into that as well.
I was just sitting nearby and just was like, I'm going to do this too.
Yeah.
And I gave you no choice. No, I've been wanting to read One Piece for a while, and it was a good excuse.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then Adriana got
I just
roped
wandered in the building just now,
Yeah.
actually.
I need you
They're
guys
strapped
to
to their chair.
I need you two to know that I told Adriana I was going to do this.
Yeah.
And Adriana freaked. Adriana was like, Josh, I can't deal with this if you do. I can't deal.
It's just not a good time, like you told me you're pregnant or something.
Yeah, you were like, Adriana was on a cruise, and I was like, I'm not kidding. Adriana was on a fucking cruise, and I was like, baby, I made it packed, and I'm into it now. It's got to happen. And Adriana and I have, we like to hyperfixate on the same things
When we can.
when we can.
It's great, yeah.
And Adriana's like, you're gonna fucking. Well, what was your rationale? Why were you so freaked out? Tell them.
So it was less that I was worried you were going to go down a rabbit hole, but I just knew that, like, with the track record, this is what happened with JoJo. You would get me into it, and I would be reluctantly try it out, and then it would become all I thought about 24/7. And the worst part is I was like, I have no interest in One Piece. I can't imagine myself, whatever. I have no interest in starting it. But that's literally the exact same way I felt about JoJo before I started that. So I can't trust my own mind, basically.
This is exactly what I like to do. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so that's the premise. I think we should kind of go into... I'm really curious to hear everyone's kind of perception of these huge series. These are both huge series. One is arguably much bigger than the other, but both of them are like legacy series in Japan. And so I think One Piece is like One Piece is like the most well-sold manga in history, right?
The most well-sold comic book of all time.
That's
it
insane.
recently triumphed
That's
over
fucking insane.
Superman and Batman.
my God.
Holy
my
shit.
God.
Yeah.
And those have been going
There's
for
nothing.
100
decades
years.
longer.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So you have your tattoo, and no one can
Yes.
say shit because how many Superman, Batman tattoos do people have?
That's true.
I say shit. I say a lot of shit about it.
It's also my tattoo, and y'all will get to this, of course, but my tattoo is just an X.
Yeah.
It's
It's
good.
just an unassuming X.
It's a really good.
We should have a party for when we understand Clayton's tattoo. That should be
Uh-huh.
a
Yeah, there'll be
turning.
the
It won't take-
tattoo episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoever
episode.
figures it out first gets a pizza party.
Right.
Yeah.
That I always forget that you told me that was a One Piece tattoo.
Uh-huh.
It is an unassuming X.
It is an unassuming X.
It's good.
It gets assumed, in fact, to be a lot of different things. The first thing, this is the only time I've ever gotten this, but I showed up to work and one of my coworkers was like, "Are you a big Ed Sheeran fan?"
No.
And I was like, "Nope."
Why?
Took a
How
cheat.
does
Because
he-
his albums are like he has
Are
like
they-
a multiply sign on one. He has a minus sign and a plus sign. He has like a whole stupid.
For some reason, I
thing.
would have thought someone thought you were a 21 Pilots fan, and I forget what their whole deal is, but I feel like that's part of their motifs. I don't know.
If somebody ever mistakes me for a 21 Pilots fan, it is on sight. I hate 21 Pilots.
Yeah, that's funny because all your friends are heathens.
That's true. But the other one I get, and I did kind of expect this to happen, a lot of people think it's a straight edge tattoo.
Oh.
And a lot of people
I
will be
need
like,
one of those.
"Hey, you straight edge?" And I am kind of worried that I'm going to go to a punk concert and just get my shit rocked with a beer bottle.
Can I
But
guess right now what the X means?
Sure.
In One Piece, is that where the One Piece is?
on my arm,
Is that the X mark the spot of One Piece?
it
Of
is
the upper-
not an X marking the spot.
Okay.
I don't care then. I don't
You
know.
will.
Okay.
I think I've actually seen the panel, like a panel with the X in it. I
Cheater.
have
You
a vague
have,
idea.
in fact, certainly, because my dear friend Brooke illustrated this panel, painted it onto a pane of glass to make it look like an animation cell,
I love
That's
those
what it
names.
was.
and
That's what it was.
Wow.
gifted
What's
it
it
to
like
me
to have
on my
like an
birthday.
epic friend like that? That's crazy.
Yeah, she's awesome. We met in kindergarten and are still friends today.
Hell yeah.
She's awesome.
Well, yeah. I think without further ado, let's go through each of our perceptions of One Piece, ending with Clayton.
Should we, just a quick proposal, this doesn't have to take too long.
Go ahead.
Should we first say who we are? Should we both just go around and kind of quick introduction to ourselves, or never mind?
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, actually. Let's.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if-
why don't we start with you?
Sure. Quick version of this. I am a comedian. I live in Austin. My name's Clayton. I am the big One Piece head here. That's the important stuff about me. Adriana?
I'm Adriana, and I am a student. I'm a cosplayer who just recently got back into it.
Yeah, you probably know.
And I am a big Jojo fan.
Hell yeah.
Crying blood. Adriana's crying blood right now.
You can't see my faces.
It's a good thing this isn't recorded.
So I'm Hayden. I am also a comedian. Myself and Josh are in a musical improv troupe called Tempo Tantrums, where we do improvised musicals. Myself, Josh, and Clayton are all in a comedy group called Doghouse that does a bunch of fun stuff.
And Adriana is in charge. Adriana owns it, actually.
Adriana is the sole
the dog.
benefactor. They sit
sole
behind
stakeholder.
a dark room, and they give us.
I'm the patron deity of
Yeah.
the...
Yeah. Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big JoJo's fan. I'll get into more of this later, but I'm a big JoJo's fan, and so.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
And I'm Josh Gordon. Whoever I'm employed to right now, if you're listening to this,
I love you.
I love you. Good night.
Yeah, come on, tell us your boss's full name.
I'm good. If you listen to this, it's not who you think. It's a different Josh Gordon. My opinion.
That goes for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
The opinions that you associate with whatever Josh Gordon you think you know, that they are unaffiliated with your business. I guess I'm a comedian. I tend not to call myself that. I tend to call myself a guy who does comedy. I don't know why.
Is there a word for that?
I don't know. I think like a clown or something. But, yeah, I do. Like Hayden said, we're an improv troupe. We're just Austin. We're just a bunch of Austin folks, and we like media. We consume it.
True.
And JoJo's is my favorite anime right now.
I was curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, and this isn't just for this thing, how obsessed do you guys normally get with your favorite thing? Like, how much of Fixators is everyone? Because I think that's really important to establish.
That is a good question. I'd say, if we're starting with me,
do it.
I would say I'm an 8.5 because I think about it constantly, but I wouldn't say I'm like. I think about it constantly. I create fictions in my head, you could say. You know, I talk about it when no one cares, but I don't create. I don't write fan fiction. I don't cosplay, and I certainly don't run any sort of like fan pages, which isn't like every time I see like a fan Twitter, like a fan IG page of like something, I'm like, that's a real fucking fan. Like that is insane. So I'd say like an 8.5 for me, solid 8.5.
We're going this
Let's
way.
go reverse order.
Changing
Yeah.
reverse order. Okay, cool. I would also probably say I'm in like the 7 or 8 range. I mean, I feel like my personal biggest hyperfixation I could ever like quantify has been Magic the Gathering. And those of you that are my dear friends have heard me just start rambling about Magic. I'm also not a person who necessarily creates content around my hyperfixations, but I do consume a lot, and I can see myself very easily falling into the like 3-hour plus video essay breakdowns of
like
different
you doing
chapters.
it or watching
watching
it?
them,
Okay.
watching them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to be a 3-hour plus video essay creator, but I don't have the patience to do so. That's what stops me. But I think I get a healthy obsession with most things.
Yeah. I'm sitting around a 9 point. I'm not a 10, but I'm definitely.
No, maybe you a 10.
And so yeah, I do like. Okay, whenever I am fixated on something, I will think about it constantly. I see things that might be a glimmer of a reference, and I can't stop my brain from making the connection. I cosplay, and I also do a lot of fan art and stuff if I'm into it. And I also like take 2 separate things that I'm really interested in and find out how to like, crossovers and stuff. So yeah, but it's all like simmering under the surface constantly, and I will wait for an excuse to talk about it, but I will never create one, So this is cool.
Hell yeah. I would say it's strange because fixations for me are very rare.
Same.
It has to be something that I find very like special. Then once it hits that, like if I like a show, it is done in less than 5 days, no matter the length. If it is a comic, I read Chainsaw Man, all 102 chapters, I think, at the time, in 2 days.
Holy shit!
Oh my God.
Wow.
And I, of course, have a One Piece tattoo on my body, and it is something that I love very dearly. But I also I have never had like an anime Twitter account. Anime Twitter tweets will pop up, and they make me infuriated. That's one thing we'll get into. The people who like One Piece, you have to get into a practice. If y'all start going down the One Piece rabbit hole, and you see somebody on One Piece Twitter, and you're thinking, maybe I'll follow them, go to their profile, go to their media tab, scroll down. If you do not see gay porn in the first 5 pictures, this person is probably insane and is reading it incorrectly. Gay porn is a necessity if you're going to take anybody's opinion seriously about One Piece.
You said their media. You mean they've posted it, or did you mean likes?
I was
think
saying, but honestly, make sure that it's somewhere.
It's
somewhere.
So you're saying if there, honestly, it's kind of the same with JoJo. If there's
Uh-huh.
not a trans or gay or lesbian flag in the Twitter profile somewhere
Uh-huh.
in a JoJo profile,
Uh-huh.
or if there's a Part 7 profile picture on that Twitter account, take anything they say with a
Tread
not even a
lightly.
grain of salt. Like just eviscerate it with your eyes. It's right there. Blow the phone up because I only
Throw your phone
yeah,
out the window.
the only accounts I take seriously for JoJo are the ones that are either allies or just expressly just gay.
Uh-huh.
See, that's how I feel about comic book Twitter, but in comic book Twitter, there is no safe account.
No.
Every
No.
single
No.
account on Twitter that talks about comics is the worst fucking person you've ever met.
Yep.
Yeah.
That being said, I think I'm like an 8 or a 7, something like that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also just had an idea. Once we get $100 billion from this, Adriana and I will make y'all read Homestuck.
Oh!
Oh my god.
All right, you can start a new podcast without me for that shit. Actually, fuck it, I'm
Holy
down. Actually,
shit, dude.
if I can read all of One Piece and JoJo,
Yeah, there's
Actually, no,
probably
Oh,
more
God.
Homestuck is
No,
probably
there's more
long. Is
there's
like longer
more.
than the fucking Bible.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to fucking talk about that.
One Piece is longer than the Bible, right?
Oh,
I
God.
actually will get into how long both these series
Yes.
are.
Oh,
Did
you got the
research.
facts?
I
He
have
did
the.
research.
I did.
Statistics?
I'm so excited, but first we have to get into again. Our, we have to start the next actual phase.
The
of-
first segment. The
Yeah,
first
the
segment
first-
of the show.
We're on a schedule.
we were on segment 0.
Yeah.
And now we are on segment 1, and that is
Yay.
how do you feel about One Piece? I'll start with Adriana. I want to hear how you feel about One Piece in general, as someone who has not read it or watched it at all.
Okay. 90% of everything I have seen of One Piece has been bad in my brain. And my eyes told my brain what was happening, and my brain was like, I don't like that.
Like what? What have you seen?
Like just some of the art style and stuff, just the character designs, and it's not my thing really, but like I understand that sometimes things are bizarre, you know.
Oh,
I of all people can appreciate a little bizarreness. So I'm not, you know, but that's my first impression of it. Is just unpleasant. And that's where I'm at. That's what
We should
Oh, yeah?
get a big button that anytime anyone says bizarre, we slam it, and
Yeah.
it just peaks all of the mics.
Yes.
Or if they say that 1.
If they say
say one.
yeah.
Your turn.
All right. So yeah, most of my experience with One Piece, I also have very, very little. I have seen probably the same thing, the little fucked up little guys that most One Piece characters
fucked
are.
up little guy. Yeah.
Every single One Piece character doesn't look like a regular person except for like Luffy, right?
Oh, and the one guy who reminds me of Puss in Boots. He.
Oh, I'm so curious.
Yeah.
Clayton has no idea what you're talking about right now, and that's concerning.
I have
is it
no
the
idea
little-
what
is
he's
it
like.
The little reindeer guy.
He's the eyebrow. The eyebrow.
Oh, Sanji?
that his name?
The blonde guy?
Yes, he's blonde.
He
yeah.
reminds you of
I have
Puss in
no
Boots.
idea why, just from
Okay.
like the cosplay and the
Sure.
people talking about
Hayden
him.
sneezed.
That's
Hold on.
the vibe
Shut
I
the
got.
hell up. Sorry. Hayden just sneezed. Everyone's like, bless you, please. We're not going to be one of those
Bless
podcasts.
you, bless you,
We're not going to be
Hayden.
like podcasts like
We'll just
Critical
we'll
Darlings
just
who
edit
don't
it
realize.
in later.
Huh?
Edit it in.
That's so
We'll
true.
edit in.
We can fix it. Clayton, you
Yes.
can fix that in post, right?
I'm gonna delete Hayden and post.
Yeah, fair enough. So actually, legitimately, the most experience I've ever had with One Piece or One Piece characters is from the video game Jump Force that came out in like early 2020s. That is
Nerd alert.
anime fighting game, like 3D fighting game.
Yeah.
And I know there's one guy who kicks a guy with fire.
Same character that Adriana was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Sanji. I know there's a guy that uses his teeth to swing a sword.
Yep.
That seems cool.
The whole time?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get
And-
into that. Trust.
There's like a fire in his eyes right now.
See,
There's
this
a dark
is why
determination
this is such a good
in his
idea
eyes.
because
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about shit like so freely, and we're gonna be like, I know every
Yeah.
other little secrets.
I'm so excited
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
specifically sword teeth, guys.
His name is Zorro. I know that much.
Yeah,
Josh
I
hit
know
the
that
nail on the head.
Jamie Lee
You got a cookie.
Curtis is a big One Piece fan. and
True.
she-
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is an
Okay, I'm so glad I'm
interview-
doing this now.
There is an interview where she talks about like what One Piece character is her favorite,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
I think it's like the lady with the big old tits. There's a lady. I mean, there's multiple.
that does
I've
not
seen
narrow
a
it
lot
down.
of One Piece characters
It is-
with massive tits.
Yeah.
There, a lady that is often drawn as having big tits. It's a thing. Late One Piece, the boobs got way bigger all of a sudden.
I actually
this
want-
character
All
usually
of a
does.
sudden.
Sorry.
Sorry, have you Hayden, is that your whole
And then I
impression?
also famously bought a pack of the One Piece card game and gave Clayton one and created riveting podcast content, which was opening packs of these cards.
It was great. Check out Critical Darlings.
Which I think we should do for this podcast as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm very scared because
That would be
if
so
I
fun.
start liking One Piece, that's another trading card game I'm going to have to invest a lot of money into.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, if I start liking this,
I'm so materialistic.
wanna-
I
I don't wanna
spend
be-
so much money.
Yeah,
I
see,
know.
when I like something, I just watch YouTube video. That's all I do. I just watch YouTube video and I read wiki.
I see a guy that I like, and I'm like, I have to be him
Yeah.
immediately right now.
And everyone loves it and is happy he does it. He fucking does it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Josh.
I have a complicated, weird perception of One Piece where I both heavily respect it because of its legacy and because of how unique it seems, but also have like in my heart of hearts been like, this is in the no-go zone. I'm not gonna touch this because there are just things there. It is one. I think I have mistakenly compartmentalized it with really mainstream shit that I don't find interesting. Like, and that's the thing. I grew up with like watching Dragon Ball, and I find a lot of Dragon Ball really fun. I don't find it remotely interesting. Naruto, I never want to look at another Naruto thing ever again. Just me personally. And One Piece, I kind of. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just reacting to that because I feel like if we put this out into the world, we will get nothing but hate comments just from that one sentence.
Yeah, I should say I have seen no Naruto. I'm not passing judgment on it as a show. It's probably really good and worth the hype. I am just that is my initial gut reaction to new things in general that are super popular, and typically like. I don't know. I hear people online and in person talk about certain things that are really like, that are just really well known, and they talk about it, and I'm like, if I have to hear one more person talk about this and feel left out, I'm gonna go crazy. And One Piece wasn't really completely in that camp, but I definitely, it's been a weird balance. Lately, I've been feeling more of the respect side because I know I'm going to be doing this podcast, and I did read the first chapter. Since this is me retelling my experience, like technically, the first chapter is part of my experience. I won't get into details because not everyone here has read the first chapter, but I actually liked it. I liked it, and I actually didn't mind the art style. The art style is very unique. And there are certain characters, mainly the main characters, who I look at them and I'm like, oh, I kind of like I like the vibes this is giving off. And then I look at other characters, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, I can't stand looking at this anymore.
That's something I wanted to clarify from what I said. My thing was that I've only seen anime content, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like if that makes any difference, then
But to my knowledge, the anime art style and the manga art style are incredibly similar, if not like kind of 1-to-1.
Style's similar. I'd say it looks so much better in manga.
Right. And we will be, by the way, reading the manga up for One Piece.
That will be part of my rant.
Yes. Clayton will be watching the anime of Jojo for reasons we will get into. And then, if and when we all love all the same stuff, Clayton will probably go on to read part 7 because I don't think it will be adapted by the time he gets to it. Anyway, I am actually excited to read One Piece. I was daunted by it. But having someone to gush with about it, I think helps. Whenever I have 3 friends that are caught up on One Piece. You, our good friend Alex, and my roommate, and also good friend Clovis. And every time they talk about it, I'm like, damn, I'm missing out. So I'm gonna let Oda cook. I'm gonna let whatever he has to say and whatever he wants to draw just wash over me. And you know what? I didn't like JoJo when I started it, and now it's my favorite thing. So who knows? I might like One Piece.
Hell yeah. My experience. So, little background. My history with One Piece is when I was a kid, I would come home from school and turn on Cartoon Network and watch the famously awful 4Kids dub of the One Piece anime, which is terrible. But I was a kid. I was dumb, and it still was the story of One Piece and had a lot of amazing moments. And so it became something that as a kid I was very obsessed with. It was also basically my introduction to anime at all. And so then growing up, I tried to watch some of the anime, and I had a lot of trouble with it. We will probably talk about this relentlessly over the course of this podcast, but I think that the anime in general just really mishandles the material. It has very poor pacing. It adds so much filler that doesn't need to be there because since One Piece has been getting released, they have been keeping it basically releasing weekly alongside the manga.
I have a lot to say about this later. From
Yes.
the calculations that I did.
It is crazy. It is almost an episode. It is almost a chapter per episode, basically, which is ridiculous. There are like punches in the show that last like 30 seconds. It drives me mad, and it pains me to think about all the people that think that they hate One Piece because they tried to get into it and had to deal with this piece of shit show.
People hate. I actually never hear people hating One Piece unless they haven't really gotten into it.
A lot of time that is the case. I know a lot of people who love One Piece and only watch the show. And for one, I'm already getting but
Getting heated.
There's so many things that the anime, it will take amazing moments from the manga and straight up fucking ruin them or like change the context of scenes. And I'll go over it when it happens, but it makes me furious.
That must be so hard. Like, my heart hurts for you.
No,
like,
that sucks,
like if I
dude.
were like that big of a fan of something and I was like, yay, it's adapted, and then it's that disappointing. Oh, that's awful.
It is okay for me because I am in general just a manga guy. Chainsaw Man has an amazing anime adaptation, and whenever I tell people about Chainsaw Man, I usually still tell them that they should read it first because I just really enjoy the mangaka's original intent, and I think you can read it and like get that and then still enjoy an anime, as I had been doing with Chainsaw Man. But all that to say, eventually when I kind of wisened up and started reading One Piece, I absolutely fell in love with it.
Hair on your chest?
Put some hair on my chest.
Yep.
I didn't at first. I read it 3 chapters in, bam. And I fell in love with it, and it grew to mean a whole lot to me. Hopefully stuff that I can share with y'all on here.
Hopefully.
Because I think it is a beautiful series, and well, I'll get into that on a later segment. But I love it a lot.
Okay. Well, funny enough, now that we're about to talk about JoJo, it's actually your turn. Because you are the least experienced with JoJo.
Sure. So,
And then I think we'll go in this order, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
that okay?
Yeah, and everyone knows
Cool.
what order that is.
Yes.
Because everyone saw your
Everyone,
finger.
and then we will go later.
Then we go,
And we will figure that out later.
this order.
Yeah.
Um,
My finger went everywhere, guys, but you'll hear who
His
goes in
finger
what
did
order.
go everywhere.
So in high school, I had a friend that had 2 penis holes. And
Damn.
that friend, who, by the way, sucks.
What is
Not
going
because of the penis holes. To me, that's the most important thing about him.
Because of the 2 buttholes.
But
The
he
2
sucks.
buttholes, too.
And so he was a huge JoJo fan.
God damn it. Fuck off.
And so for a long time, I would hear him talk about it. I don't think I had seen a frame from it. I was like on Tumblr and stuff, but as I mentioned earlier, mostly like Homestuck and then Avatar and like Super Hulak shit. I didn't see a whole lot of anime. And so I would I would hear him talk about JoJo's. He would always tell me I need to watch it. I just didn't watch a whole lot of anime. And that was for a while the only thing I had in my head of JoJo's. I started to hear more about it once I was like on Twitter and stuff. I would hear people talking about it. Finally, I get to college and I have friends who like JoJo. Honestly, the kind of first friends I made that were big JoJo's fans were across the table from me, Hayden Hartrick, as well as earlier mentioned friend of the show, Alex Pittner, who's big into One Piece and JoJo. Maybe a guest appearance is in the future for him.
Turned into Jeff Goldblum just now.
Maybe against I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'd love to hear it, Josh.
One Piece. JoJo. He baited me, man. He baited me. It's not even my best. I'm just warming up.
Is there any way to make the title your Jeff Goldblum impression? Like it's just an audio clip that people have to play?
Anyway.
All this to say, eventually, I decided I was going to give JoJo's a little listen, a little watch. I watched it too. I didn't just listen.
You did the radio special?
No, I think that was a Freudian slip because the first 2 parts people do put it on and then just go on their phone and don't watch it and then just
And they listen to Japanese
listen to
and don't understand it.
And that was by the time I got to the point that I was watching, and I had people who were in my ear telling me already that, hey, the first part's not good, but it's only, 6 episodes?
9 episodes.
9 episodes. And so I watched that, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not a huge fan. And then the second part was a little bit rocky because one of my aforementioned friends told me that the second part is their favorite part.
God
damn
it.
Oh.
Well, anyone who's I'm gonna cut in there.
Go for it.
Anyone whose favorite part is part 2, run away from them.
Okay.
Like get away. And I love part 2.
Uh-huh.
Literally shoot them in the head.
Uh-huh.
Save the world from them.
Well,
Wow.
you'll do it on yourself when he's a guest on this podcast
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
talking about Alex.
I feel
What? I thought there was a 2 penis hole guy.
No.
Alex
No.
did not tell me that Battle Tendency was his
but
favorite.
there's a difference between people who watch it and part 2 is immediately their favorite part, and then people who watch the entire thing and then decide, like, later after their wisdom, marinates for a little bit, and then they decide that part 2 is their favorite part.
Did Alex really say that part 2 is his favorite?
I believe so.
I thought part 4 was his.
I
To my
also-
knowledge, part 4 was his favorite.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe he was just telling me about how much he loves part 2.
I can
At the
understand.
very least, okay. I think I know what it is. I think the guy, the JoJo in part 2,
is his favorite JoJo.
is his favorite JoJo.
Okay.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Maybe that's what I.
He is a lot of people's favorite JoJo.
And it was a definite step up from part 1. But I still was having a hard time not being on my phone.
All right, you're gonna have to cut that out for this
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm gonna be laser focused because this is a job for me now.
Yeah, that'll make it fun.
Yeah.
it being a job.
Honestly, it will make it so much more fun to have weekly or bi-weekly check-ins and people to talk about it
Absolutely.
with.
And maybe even someone to sometimes watch it with.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
we live in the same space.
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
Clayton do, so
it's
I
just-
will be watching it with him.
It's always better to watch it with someone. Like, I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I couldn't have gone through it either if I hadn't had someone to watch it with. Josh, do you want to wait? Actually, we'll do that when we get to
Yeah,
it. Never
yeah,
mind.
we
Never
will.
mind.
Uh-huh. And then what's up next? The part 3, Stardust Crusaders. I know that. I know that much.
Yeah.
And then what's Josuke?
No.
His hat.
No.
His hat
Your
is his hair.
It's
His
Jotaro.
hat is his hair.
Jotaro.
Yeah.
Jotaro. Who's Josuke?
Josuke's
This
the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They haven't gotten
Jotaro.
Yeah.
Joestar has a hair.
Yeah, sure.
Voiced
Yeah.
by
I love
Matt
that guy.
Mercer. In
Oh, really?
the
In
dub.
Yeah.
English.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do not watch the dub ever.
Okay,
Well,
we watch the dub.
Maybe watch the dub for hilarious purposes. Maybe.
For your first viewing, please watch it in Japanese.
You do not need to tell me twice.
Okay.
Um,
Matt Mercer is great though.
Uh-huh.
As Joe.
I love Matt Mercer. And I remember being very excited when I started that because there's a scene. It's like the mother and not. Should I not say it? Should I not say something that I've seen in here if we're getting to that later?
No, go ahead.
Okay. There's the mother like going into the prison and they're like, your son who's 14 or whatever. He's in a lot of trouble and he's not doing well. And she's like, oh, there he is. And then it's a grown man with like steroids and he's like, shut the hell up, bitch. I was very excited about that. And then because I knew that this was where it supposedly gets good. Like the wide consensus was part 3 is where it gets good. And so I made it, I want to say 9. We were talking, Josh and I, trying to get
It's
to like...
really vague what episode you ended up.
Yes, it is vague in my head as well.
Because you gave me 3 different points. You gave me 3 different things that like 3 different landmarks that happened, and I was like, those 3 completely different parts of part 3. You were like, yeah, I think they just started their adventure, but also there was something about an imposter. The green guy's an imposter, but also Avdol came back. It's like that is. Did you watch this? Did you like hit shuffle? And then, like,
Look, I've been spoiled on a couple minor things for part 3, I believe.
yeah.
And then one thing for part 4. We'll get to that way later.
Oh shit.
But all this to say, I ended up giving up pretty early into part 3, and that all happened before I met you two. I had met you already, of course.
Why did you give up on part 3?
I was like, this is where it gets good, and I'm still finding myself. The stands are here, which is like what I had been waiting for. The stands, and I was just not. I was not into it. It was not grabbing me. And I've been told by a lot of people that I was the picture of the guy who was digging in the mine. And the diamonds
oh
are
my
right
God.
on the other side.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see about that. And I'm very excited to watch it alongside y'all and let y'all know my progress.
Absolutely.
I think that is one of the funny things about JoJo is being like, you have to get through 3 seasons of it,
Yeah.
then it will start getting good.
Like-
Technically, part 1 and 2 are so short that they're 1 season.
Sure.
And
Okay.
honestly,
Yeah.
part 1, 2, and 3 are technically not even half of the anime adaptation thus
Yeah.
far. Even though part 3 is so long. But we'll get into that later.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So my experience with JoJo now.
Yes.
Right. So I also had a similar experience, like on Tumblr, but like on the fringes, not really. Didn't know that much about it. It's hard to remember exactly what I knew about it. Like keep it chronological in my head. But so I remember being really annoyed, though. And not in like a hater way, but just in a like. It was annoying that everyone that you and Jackson I just wanted to be a little like brat about it. Every time someone like brought it up, I was just like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why that's like such a reflex for so many people, including myself. Like,
Yeah.
we see people enjoying something, and 9 out of 10 times I'm like, blech, for no good reason. And then the other 10% I'm like, I gotta start it. But I wish it was a different ratio. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just very. I knew it was very silly. That was my first impression, and I didn't think it was like gay for some reason. Like I didn't think there was like a queer following really.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. No, I didn't. I didn't think it was a genuine. Actually, I didn't know. I didn't think it was a genuine queer following. I thought that all of the stuff people like made jokes about were at the expense of queer people, which it wasn't like I thought everyone JoJo fan was homophobic, but it was very much I was like, oh, are they going to make a caricature of everything? Which they do, but it's very much like on the front, in the loop. So I started watching it because we moved in a new roommate, Clovis, moved in with us. I was very adamant about never watching it.
Almost made the biggest mistake of your life. Yeah,
and Josh was obsessed with it and was dying because he wanted to talk to me about it all the time. But he asked Clovis, have you ever seen it? And Clovis said no. And Josh was like, do you want to start watching it? And then I felt left out. So that's why I started watching it with Josh and Clovis, because I didn't want, like, it was one thing him watching it on his own with Jackson. Like, I didn't admit it, but I did, feel left out.
Yeah, Jackson is for people who don't know, is just a good friend of me and Adriana's, a really close friend of ours.
So I didn't want that to happen again, or I didn't want to just like listen to them watch it in the living room because we all lived together, and I was just like, I couldn't stand that. So the devil's you know what I mean? So I started it, didn't get into it until we started part 4, I want to say.
I'd say before that. I'd say in the middle of part 3.
Maybe.
Yeah.
A really easy way to tell when I've like gotten into something is if I start associating songs with specific things. And when that starts to happen, that's when I know that I'm off the deep end. So once that started happening, I think it was around, maybe middle of part 3, early part 4, I don't know. But yeah, and looking back on it, I'd say it was crucial to enjoy it with someone. I don't think I would have had the same experience if I was watching it alone at all. But that's just also how I kind of consume media in general, so maybe it's just that. But yeah, and now #superfan.
Adriana has made incredible. Adriana is a great artist, but has also drawn some incredible, famous on TikTok art.
I'm gonna kill you.
And also just has made just incredible cosplay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Some of the best JoJo cosplay on this side of the 50s.
This side of the
48. On this side of the Mississippi. On this half of the 48 contiguous. It's the states I'm talking about.
I stand by it.
Thank you, guys. That's another thing is I had been cosplaying since I was 15 in 2015, and then I kind of dropped out of it, or that slowed down when I joined college. When I started college, because I got a life kind of, and
then you lost.
And I didn't really have the urge, the passion for anything to really, but that kind of really sparked it. For sure. Yeah. So that's why right now 80-90% of the cosplays I have and take to conventions are from JoJo's. Yeah. So
yeah. Nice.
Hell yeah.
My journey with JoJo's, it started in high school, I think, because I was thinking, and I was like, I can't remember who introduced me to it, but I think I know who introduced it to it. It was a friend from high school. It was my best friend in middle school. We were in the physics club together in high school, and he made me start watching it. And I was watching. I watched basically just binge through everything that was out, which got me up to about halfway through part 5, and I fell so hard in love with JoJo. that it became the first manga that I ever read in my whole life.
Ooh.
Same with us.
Because
For me at least.
Jojo was premiering. I caught up to the point where it was premiering week to week, and I couldn't be patient enough to consume the rest of the story. And so I just ended up reading the rest of part 5, and then reading all of part 6, and then all of part 7. And I was reading part 8, and I haven't actually read all of part 8. I know it ended pretty recently, but I ran into the issue where I got caught up to like week to week manga releases.
Month to month, actually.
Month to month.
Which is much harder.
Which is so much harder, because after like 3 weeks, I fell off of it, and I couldn't. Like, I love JoJo's, and it is still one of my favorite animes, if not my favorite. But it's a really hard thing for me at least, to keep up with a manga that is releasing month to month, especially part 8, because part 8, I know that it is good, but the point where I caught up month to month, it was a little bit of a lull for me. Like, there wasn't a lot going on in the story.
Do you mean lull in interest or lull in like investment in the story?
Lull in like what was going on in the
Okay.
story at the time.
Yeah.
Can you give me a hint?
I
as to
was
where you
around
left off?
the baby guy came up.
Oh,
The
yeah.
baby guy with the Lego
in
stuff.
part 8?
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
You were far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got
And
caught up, and it was...
I just kind of,
Okay.
when I was reading through all of part 8, I was just kind of like, there's nothing happening here.
The baby guy with
I
the
was
Lego.
gonna say.
Yeah, the baby guy with the Lego.
Honestly, it really kind of washed over me.
I forgot that you've done it. We're gonna
Nope.
be saying a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna
That's
be
okay.
saying. We're gonna be saying. You will be doing the same, which I cannot wait for.
Uh-huh.
For us to mention things out of context, because JoJo's I think is best when it's out of context. I think
Yeah, because like one of the greatest things I think about this podcast will be us trying to speak to each other in a way that doesn't spoil anything.
Yeah. I'm saying just bullshit. And nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hit a lull there, and part 8 has a lot of stuff where I was just like, I can't follow what's going on, and I don't feel like anything is going on, and so I was like, I'm just gonna take a break until part 8 finishes, and I haven't picked it back up, so I'm really hoping that
Okay.
this will re-spark, and once we get to part
Yeah.
8,
It's not too far behind even,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
No, I mean, part is a very interesting.
yeah,
It's a very interesting part for the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say it's like one of the best.
Yeah.
And then some will say it's one of the worst.
yeah.
That's with all the parts, though.
No, it's there's one there's one part that is not the case with.
I've seen people call every part the best, and I've seen people call every part the worst.
Well,
No,
yeah.
no matter how obscure you think it is, like I've literally seen every single.
Well, yeah,
opinion.
there's someone with every opinion,
Yeah.
but there's a few
it's
that
me.
are
I have all of them.
there's a few, there's definitely like trends
Yeah.
of how people
Yeah.
view it, and there is one part that most people are like, it's the best part, and I will let you figure that one out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we don't accidentally spoil it,
Ooh, I think that'd be fun.
yeah.
When we get to the setting expectations, I want to give we'll get there. I'm going to put a pin in this, come back to where we
Yeah.
start expectations.
Okay.
Sorry, were you done with your journey?
I think that's most of it. I've been a big JoJo's fan. I really want to get the game that came out recently. I really
It's
want to
really good.
get
It's
the
really
fighting
fun.
game. I fucking love fighting games.
Yeah.
I haven't really bought anything JoJo's related. But I really want to get a nice like figure, like a nice little posable figure,
Fucking insane.
and put it on
You
a shelf.
figureheads, dude.
Yeah.
You're insane.
That's most of my journey. It's just I don't know if I have a lot of like impact to it other than it being the first one that I got so obsessed with that I read a manga.
Yeah. I'll
yeah.
do it.
Yeah. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Where do I even start? I've gotten to a point now where I think I might be the biggest JoJo fan I know, aside from maybe Adriana. Even maybe more of a fan than the guy who introduced it to me.
Oh, wow.
My journey with JoJo's is, again, I'm not a big fan of starting new things. I have to have every reason to start a new thing. Because I'm already I only have so much space for the things I'm already obsessed with. And when I get into a phase where I'm obsessed with something, it lasts years. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it
so
is
I'm terrified to
creepy.
get into new stuff. And I'm also afraid to start things that I feel like are going to bore me. But I had only heard of JoJo in high school from my friend Jackson and another friend of ours who was watching it, and I was like, I don't give a shit about this, which is just kind of like not in like a malicious way, but in a way I was like, okay, that's something that exists that I will never interact with, you know?
Yeah.
And I had seen anime. There was definitely quite a few anime that I'd liked, but I was kind of I wasn't really. I still even wouldn't call myself like an anime fan, but like I'm more of an anime fan now. Back then, I was definitely just an anime enjoyer. And then, so I'm in college, right? I have a roommate. His name's Jackson.
Ooh.
And he and he is like, listen, I think you'd really like this. And I think it'd be cute for me and you to actually have a show that we watch together. I'm like, well, I do agree with that, Jackson. I just can't do that. And now, meanwhile, I should state, actually, no, that's not relevant. Point is, he convinced me, he pleaded with me to watch it. And he was like, I'll like make a deal. Like, I'll do whatever I got to do. And I was like, you're going to pay me. You're going to pay me to watch this show. I'll start the first episode for free. If I don't feel like continuing it after this episode, I need $1. And every time I don't feel like continuing, I need $1. That will incentivize me to continue. He never paid me a single dollar. And that's not because I loved everything I saw, but I will say this about part 1. The first episode is so packed full of premise. It sets up so much that even when I was not enjoying some of those episodes, I was like, I gotta know what happens. You know, Jonathan and Dio, what's gonna happen? And I'll get into more of like, I'll get into more of that later. I watched part 1, and I think the way to watch part 1 is the way I did it, was where you have a friend who's already seen it, and he's like, hey, wait for this part, and then it happens, and you both cry laughing. I definitely watched it as an ironic thing, but at the same time, I kind of began, as I got into part 2, to kind of respect its irreverence and how over serious it took itself. And then part 2 happened, and I felt almost the same way, except it was a little better. And then I got into part 3, and I was like, and I felt kind of the same way, except it was just a little better. And then part 3 started kind of getting into it, and I was like, okay, I like this show. I actually like the show now. I thought about it, you know, but I still in my head I had that thing where I'm like, well, it's not like this other thing that I love, you know, whatever. And then I got into part 4, and it was over. It was over, and every part since I've just fallen in love with, to varying degrees. But I fell in love with it, and honestly, it's scary because JoJo, and I don't know if you're gonna have this experience. I know that some of us here may have had this experience. It rewired my brain in the way that I consume media, the way that I expect things. What I love about JoJo, and what's something it has that almost nothing has to the same degree, no other piece of media, is that I really can never guess where it's going, ever. I could not at any single point, and I still, where we're at with part 9, I have no fucking clue where it's going, because Araki, who's the mangaka, he cooks, man, and he sings, and it's jazz. The way he's described the way. No, I'm saying
he's in the kitchen.
Yeah,
cooking up some jazz.
Yeah, cooking up some jazz. No, literally, but you'll notice something that I didn't like at first that I grew to love was kind of how it felt like the plot's happening, but it's like kind of going all over the place, and it's like, wait, where's this going? But eventually Araki not only gets better with kind of his writing style, which he has described that he writes like jazz. It's just what comes to him.
Oh, yeah.
He sees it, and it happens.
It's about the journey,
It's
about the adventure.
It's about the adventure. However, I will say a lot of the destination, in terms of destination, a lot of the endings to each part are some of my favorite endings, period. JoJo is known for having typically really good endings. to its parts, or at the very least, super controversial ones. So yeah, it rewired my fucking brain. I have watched every part at least twice, some 3 times. This podcast might be the reason that I hit 4 with some of them. And then, yeah, it's also the reason why I started reading manga. Yeah. We got into Stone Ocean. I remember waiting for Stone Ocean to come out. And then it got released on a terrible batch schedule, which you are so lucky you don't have to deal with, Clayton, where they released 12 episodes in 2021, and then we waited 9 months for the next 12 episodes.
Ooh.
So me and Adriana, we gave up about halfway through that wait, because right when we thought that the batch was gonna be released is when they announced that it was coming out in 5 months. So we were like, we're getting spoiled on TikTok for all these little things. We can't risk it anymore.
Yep.
So we started reading so we read the last 2/3 of Stone Ocean and then have read everything since. And it has been some of my favorite reading material. It introduced me to manga. It's part of the reason why I am not that afraid to start One Piece today. So Clayton, you have Jojo and Araki to thank for that.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Araki.
Thank you, Araki.
Can I ask, how many parts are there now currently in the manga?
9.
Part 9
just started. It is 5 chapters in.
What year did Araki start Jojo? Because it started even before One Piece, right?
So that I have something. I think now's a good time to get into setting expectations.
Sure.
And I need to address the whole room right now.
Everybody.
The whole room.
Because I don't
know
thinking,
what I'm getting addressed by.
I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, after I made that deal with you, Clayton, I was in the shower. Directly after we talked about this, I went to the shower.
Yeah.
Stood up, walked into my bedroom.
Into Hayden's bedroom, and I took a little shower. I was thinking about this. I was like, do I really want to fucking do this? Do I want to fucking start One Piece, the anime, or the series that has inspired an anime with over 1,000 episodes, that has over 1,000 chapters? Do I really want to fucking do that? I told myself I wouldn't. And then you were like, listen, you'll blow through it, right? So I thought about it, but I'm like, wait a minute. JoJo's is long, but it's not as long as One Piece. I know that for a fact, which is crazy. How can Oda be pumping that much out? Literally, Araki started JoJo's 10 years before One Piece started, which is part of the reason why Part 1 and 2 can seem kind of dated. Even Part 3 is because they started in 87.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 87. So
Fake fan. Don't know when it started exactly.
I'm a fake
Brutal.
fan. So I was like, okay, I got to get down to the bottom of this. How much of a gap? Because we're going to get through JoJo. You're going to get through JoJo, and this is going to become a fucking One Piece podcast. Where all we talk about is fucking One Piece because we're catching up.
I would love to talk about fucking One Piece.
Yeah, and then we have one measly chapter of Part 9 coming out every month, but 99% of this podcast will be talking about One Piece. So I'm like, okay, well, how do we have to pace this out? At what point will it become ridiculous? So I looked into One Piece's page count.
Yes.
And I had to do some calculations because there's not an exact one, but I got a pretty good estimate. There is the September 2022. There was a September 2022 release of the whole thing that totaled at like 21,500 pages, then some, because after that there were many other chapters that have come out since. So this whole fucking thing is sitting at 22,515 and counting approximately. It's a lot of fucking pages. But I was like, how the fuck did he beat her? How much of a gap is there? Like, I get it. Araki has a different schedule. He's taking hiatuses. Like, Oda is insane. Do you want to guess how big the gap is? Do you want to guess, Clayton, how many pages JoJo's has?
So, remind me, what's the number for One Piece?
22,515 pages.
And that's not even that much.
And it is the longest running anime, and I know that it apparently has filler, and apparently it is, it is terribly paced, but that is such a fucking long anime.
Yeah.
JoJo's, I should say this, for reference, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which has 6 of its parts have been fully adapted, is sitting at not 1,067 episodes like One Piece. It's sitting at 190.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think? How many pages roughly would you think JoJo's has?
Pages roughly. I'm guessing that JoJo's is a lot more because it didn't start animating until like 25 years after the first chapter. Is that
2012? Yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
Is that exactly 25? I can't do math.
Yes, I think so because
There we go.
it was a 25th anniversary thing. They've been trying to adapt JoJo's for so long, but because it is such a fucking specific and weird story, they had a few attempts that didn't go over that
Yeah,
well.
once we get done with part 3, we should do an episode that's the part 3 OVA.
No.
I think
Oh
it'd be
my
so
God.
fun.
Actually,
I haven't
yes.
seen it.
I
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it
it.
either.
Actually, we do have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that would be actually really fun. So how
My
many-
guess is in the neighborhood of 14 to 15,000.
You're close.
Okay.
I'm kidding. You're not close at all.
Oh.
So One Piece is at 22,515.
Uh-huh.
JoJo's, there is an exact page count because there's a Reddit that keeps
Just
track
say it. You've been
Shut your mouth.
He's been edging us for fucking...
Yeah.
We have a record
I know the exact
of how
page
long,
count.
Of how long you've
I
been.
know the exact page count of JoJo's. 24,298 pages.
It's more pages?
JoJo's is longer than One Piece.
Whoa! This is huge news for me. This is great.
This was huge news for me because I have consumed all of JoJo's. I haven't consumed the entire manga, but I have consumed all of the whole story. And luckily for us, the anime is a very faithful adaptation. It is known for being that. It does take liberties, but most of those liberties are often actually looked upon very favorably as improvements.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rather than detracting.
Uh-huh.
Part 1 actually, though, I've heard from many, and we're reading Part 1 right now, actually has the least well-received adaptation because it cuts a lot.
Cuts out a lot.
But then I went down a fucking rabbit hole, Clayton. I went down a goddamn rabbit hole because... Oh, by the way, that's just the main series, by the way. If you include the one-shots for JoJo's, it's 25,000. JoJo's has it beat in volumes, too.
Uh-huh. Oh, really?
135 and counting.
Whoa.
Yeah, versus One Piece, which has 106. Technically, One Piece only has it beat in chapters, but only by 100. Not that really matters. It's really page count. I guess that would matter.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy shit. How can a manga that is longer than One Piece be mostly adapted and have such a stark difference in anime episodes? And I calculated it. Okay. On average, the pages, the number of pages that one JoJo episodes covers is 79. For One Piece, the average page count that a One Piece episode covers, 4 pages. I'm kidding. It's not 4 pages. That'd be impossible. 20 and a half.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
roughly a chapter.
So JoJo's on average covers 4 chapters. You are getting a much more efficient experience if you're watching the anime.
Hell yeah.
That being said, if we're going to pace this out, we could do this. We could do a very interesting version of this where we pace it out by the part that you're on.
Uh-huh.
How fast, because they vary. The parts were adapted at varying rates in terms of how many pages each episode covers. Part 3 is the worst at pacing. Part 3 is not the longest part in JoJo's, but it has the longest season, has the longest anime. The part is like it's in the manga, part 3 is like I think like 4,000 pages shorter than part 4, but in the anime it's 9 episodes longer.
Wow.
Yeah, they were too faithful with part 3. I will say that. That is something that we will get to. But in that case, if you were on part 3, we would read like 60. It would be like 63 pages you'd be covering. So I'm going to open up to you guys. How do we want to do this? Do we want to actually read like on average 80 pages per every episode he watches, because it wouldn't be too terribly hard. But I'm thinking that since it's JoJo's, you can't just watch really one episode and get the whole story most of the time. Sometimes it's 3 episodes. Oftentimes it's 2.
I mean, you'd do it per fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should play it by ear because it's so like it'd be impossible to like predict. Also, like how much we're going to be in the mood to do or whatever. So I think maybe after every meeting and then before the next one, we see where we're at, and then Clayton helps us pick a stopping point in One Piece, and we help him pick a stopping point in episodes, and we like make it a really individualized experience.
I think that's a great idea.
With an approximation of about 4 chapters per episode that Clayton is consuming. And so like that can go up or down depending on if it's like, 4 chapters, you'll be a chapter away from the end of this arc. So we'll just finish out this arc.
Because if we have like you said, you calculated it out really like down to the page. So we have that to go on to make sure that we're generally moving at the same speed. So we can like check in maybe every month and make sure we're like the same % done with each of it.
I just can't believe the One Piece anime apparently is terrible. Like I just can't believe it's that. It is
awful.
It is that. Now I'm not here to say that like I have an objective view. I have not seen the One Piece anime. I've seen scenes from it that look really cool. And I have read 1 chapter. So I am no authority to say how if you're listening, if you enjoy One Piece, if you like it the way you experienced it, kudos to you. I just personally would not want to watch an anime that has that much filler and has that little content per episode.
Yeah. I will say, if you do like the One Piece anime, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
And let it be known.
Clayton will be in your walls.
I've heard of a very interesting project though called, I think it's called One Pace. Clayton and I talked about this recently. That is a person or group of people that are re-editing the entire anime to cut out all of the filler.
I will say
Star Wars vibes. Actually, every fandom does this to every series.
I will say, here's one thing. We've only talked about the pace of the One Piece anime so far. As far as these issues go, another big issue is that despite it being one of the most profitable manga series of all time, the animation and the budget that is afforded to it is insultingly low, as well as just the amount of time that animators get to work on projects. There is a lot that is literally like a drawing that is being held with like minor background animations for upwards of like 7 seconds. It is even paced well. It is hard to watch a lot of the time. That is not as big of an issue early on, but especially in like the second kind of half of the show.
I have seen clips, I've seen trailers and stuff from like episodes of One Piece that just look really bland and made me never really want to watch it. I've also seen though from recent episodes in fights where they've gone the fuck off, and I'm like, okay, when I get to that fight in the manga, I'm gonna be rewatching it because it looks really incredible.
In specifically the last arc, partially because it is the longest arc in all of One Piece. It is they really dedicated some time to it. They went to I forget the names of the animation studios. I want to say that there were people brought in from Trigger, but it was not passed off to them. But legendary animators and legendary, just very cool people who were brought in, and especially like episode 1000 and like that area were done very well.
I saw,
and it's very cool.
I saw an impact frame that they wrote the words. I think you know what I'm going to talk about. Like smoking that insert character name pack because that character was dying. In that sequence,
I don't even know.
They wrote it. You had
to
pause it right on the frame, but it literally said like "smoking that pack." Like what you say when someone dies, like smoking that Queen Elizabeth pack.
I've never heard that in my life.
It's like a Twitch thing. I think I don't know.
I think you're just weird.
All right, guys, it's been so fun. I'm gonna go. Watch One Piece.
With that, do we want to talk about how many chapters and how many anime episodes we're going to be watching for the first?
I actually have a real quick thing.
Yeah,
I want to, for you, Clayton, I want to give you a short little brief pitch of each part. And I want you to guess, before you've consumed them, which one you think will be your favorite.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh
Now-
my god!
Yes,
And
yes.
you need to do that with
Yeah.
maybe do that with some of the arcs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
That is
So,
a great idea. Holy
obviously, you've seen part one. Part one, vampires. Vampires.
And I'm telling you, not my favorite.
You got part two, which is even scarier vampires.
And Indiana Jones.
You got part three, which is Egypt road trip.
Yeah.
You got
Around the World in 80 Days.
part 4, which is small town shenanigans. You got part 5, which is teenage mafia. You got part 6, which is women's prison.
Prison Break.
You've got part 7, which is cross country horse race.
Cowboy.
You've got part 8, which is
Which is murder mystery. Well, just mystery. Yeah. Small town mystery. It's actually
4 testicles.
Yes, small town.
Don't say that. Forget. Nightmare. And then you have part 9, which you don't know.
I don't know anything about part 9.
Part 9, which we don't know if it's the favorite part yet, which is heist thriller.
Hawaii, yeah.
Hawaiian
heist.
heist thriller.
Yeah.
Okay. Going off of that, so I will have to say there's a little bit of outside bias coming into this, because not only have I seen 3 of these to some extent, I have also heard people talk about different parts.
Yes.
And I know the general deals of each of these parts even more than some of these outlines cover.
Ooh.
From what I'm saying, from what I'm hearing, I would say that part 4 is the one that I'm most excited for.
Okay.
Part of that being, when I said that I knew a part about part 4, I know the twist of part 4. I know who the bad guy is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how much of a twist that is. It was presented to me as kind of a twist, but
Okay.
yes.
We
So,
also
there
gave
we go.
you, and I hope you forgot, but we talked about the hugest spoilers. Some of the biggest spoilers in all of JoJo that night that I made that deal. How much do you remember from that?
Somebody's going really fast. I also know.
Okay, cool.
So I know.
Oh my god, I forgot we talked about that.
Somebody is going so
I know
fast.
specific things I said, and I did leave out plenty, though, to where I don't think your experience will be ruined.
I will also say I know another spoiler that I kind of know, and I'm going to not spoil it for anybody that may be listening.
I'll just say.
But I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I know the person that person goes really fast. I know the consequences that have for the series going forward.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's not the most terrible spoiler to know,
I
because
knew-
a lot
I
of
knew
people
that
knew
going
that.
in.
Yeah, a lot of.
I'm going to tell you one thing.
Sure.
You don't.
Okay.
Yeah. You think you do? A lot of people think
Oh,
they do.
true.
Sure.
That-
I'll
do not.
I'll tell y'all more about
And
that off mic.
actually, wait, I'm going to say you do, because I don't want you to know. There's
Yeah.
a certain point where this series makes a big transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want you to know what that transition is until you get there.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be when you start the manga.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I'm excited to
I'm gonna
start the
hope
manga.
if you make it through all the way to that point, all the way to part 7, that's the month, without knowing the premise, like this, whatever I'm talking about.
I know the premise of Steel Ball Run.
The premise is in the plot, the isolated plot of the part, or the premise
Like, what do you know?
I know
of it in relation
I know
to
it's
the rest of the
cowboys.
series. Yes.
And it's in a different whole deal.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
I'm being cheeky.
You
I'll
do
tell y'all
not.
more.
So
Okay,
you do
yeah,
not
yeah,
know.
yeah,
You do
yeah.
not know what.
It's got its own deal.
It's got its own deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got
And
its own record
You may
deal.
kind of know. You may kind of know.
Okay.
Alright.
It's
I think I kind of know.
Damn.
So yeah,
We'll talk
So
about
you-
it off mic.
Part 4,
A little bit.
real quick. Everybody else favorite parts.
I cannot. I don't want to. I actually do not want to say, because I don't want to influence his
what?
opinion.
I mean, I feel like
Adriana,
I
be
feel-
fun. What's your
But
favorite
yeah,
part?
I feel like Clayton could get everyone else's part opinions.
Yeah, you don't gotta say why. Just say what your favorite part is.
So part 5 has always been on the top, and then part 7 I think is like sitting on its lap right now. That's that's what's happening.
I'm big. Part 5 is my favorite, hands down. 6 and 7 battle for second place quite a bit.
Yeah.
Fuck it. If we're gonna do it, should I just rank them all? I have them all ranked in my head.
Okay.
Do you want me to? Do you want to know?
I want to know. I would love to hear just your favorite. Yeah. I feel like I might vary things and weigh things in my head because I have things to do that.
I don't want
to
you
hear
to do
your
that.
favorite.
My favorite, as of right now, is part 7. Yeah. 5 is very close. As it, yeah, I think we are kind of on the same page. However, watch out for part 8. That's all I'm saying.
Cool.
Okay.
Watch out for part 8. Watch out for part 8.
Okay.
I will do very quickly because there's a lot. I'll go through the One Piece arcs with like very minimal descriptions. I'm gonna choose to limit myself to 2 words for these descriptions.
Yes.
Number 1, making friends. Number 2, evil clown.
Yeah,
I'm not excited.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Number 3, lion guy. Lying guy.
Lying
Guy. Number
I
4,
hate liars.
boat food.
That's my favorite. That's my new favorite.
It's gonna be Adriana's favorite.
Number 5. Oh, this is gonna be hard to keep track of. There's like 50.
You don't have to go through.
Okay. We shouldn't go through battles.
Well, how about you give us your top 6?
Okay,
arcs?
my top 6. My
Why 6?
Because
there's 6
I don't know.
anime
There's 6
parts.
anime parts.
Top 9. No,
Oh my god.
Top 5. Just give it top 5. Yeah.
Look, I'm just gonna tell y'all some big ones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gigantic war. I'm gonna still. I guess
Never
I'm
mind,
still.
Never mind. I'm going back to it.
I guess I'm still keeping it to 2 words. Gigantic war. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Place made of food. What?
Sharkboy
Cloudy
Lava?
with a chance of meatballs too.
Kind of. Let's see. There's also super secret government stuff.
I'm excited for that one.
Arc?
I've heard there's a lot of leftism in One Piece.
Oh, One Piece is so political in
Yeah.
a way
Really?
that is ahead of its time.
Jojo is so political in a way that makes no sense. But it is.
Hell yeah. Yeah. The biggest bad guys of One Piece are the cops, and it does not let you forget that. Let's see. What's another one I like? We got I'm trying to think of the good ones. We got Other Gigantic War.
Actually, that one.
There's just so many. There's so many to keep track
The
of.
one I hear about, the one I always hear about.
Tell me what you hear
Water
about.
7.
Water 7. That may be... Oh, that's... So, secret government stuff comes... It's heavily tied to Water 7. It comes right after.
I always hear about that. That's Clovis's favorite arc.
Water 7, sum it up. Water Island.
Okay.
Island of
I feel like
water.
There's a
Some would say
conflicting idea.
It is water in the island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think since I know nothing about like I'm a very character driven person with stories, so I'm gonna say that making friends is the one that I seem most interested in right now.
And that is the first one.
I assume
Yeah.
so.
And you're in for a great treat there.
Great.
And that's the thing. I just want to say real quick. That's the thing about One Piece is it is in the big 3. Of course,
well, the
you'll
big
come
3
and
of
hear
the,
them.
of the early O's. Right?
Up until those yes. Sorry. So specifically, there was the big 3, which are the 3 biggest selling manga for a long time running: One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. It's also compared to
Bleach
Dragon
was
Ball.
that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Dragon Ball was before that time. That's why it's not compared
Yes,
with them.
and Dragon Ball specifically, I think, has never really been that high in manga sales because it is best known for its animated adaptation.
Yes.
That was what made it big. One Piece is so different in so many ways. Also, One Piece, I'll just say real quick, there was the big 3 there. Naruto and Bleach quickly fell off from that. One Piece was the #1 most popular manga up until very, very recently. It was Demon Slayer that overtook it. One
The
Piece has
demon.
veered up into the top slots, but there have been a lot of stuff. Jujutsu Kaisen has been like up there. but just in general, people have fallen for some big mangas lately, and I think that's awesome. But One Piece is very different from those in that I think a lot of people think of a shonen and they think of the importance being around big guys having cool fights, and the important part of One Piece has always been and will always be the heart of it and the characters and the love they have for each other and the moments that we get of development for these characters. And that's what I'm excited about for all of you.
That's
really
exactly.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's exactly why I feel like there's such a big crossover between JoJo fans and One Piece fans. Because to me, my first, actually going back to the first impressions of it, like if it is like in a good direction, I'm thinking close to like Last Airbender vibes in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
Right? Okay, so which I don't know. Yeah, like the way people talk about it, that's not surprising. That it's
that makes
like
a lot
very
of
character driven and like it's not about because with JoJo, same thing. There's a lot of cool fights and stuff. That's why it's because the fights are where it lulls for me and a lot of people. But if you can keep my attention for that, then it's like no holes in there. Yeah.
That's the part of the whole thing that I'm really excited for is because it doesn't focus as much on the fight. Because I think that's one of the things in what I understand about One Piece. It and JoJo are going to have very similar things when it comes to fights for me, where the fights aren't necessarily about being stronger and like it is about creative use of abilities.
It's about how your character in JoJo at least. And I've heard this the same that One Piece was inspired by JoJo in this way. So it's about how the character informs their victory.
Yeah.
It's about how they win. And they're in their heart, not necessarily like how they are just stronger.
And everyone has like unique power sets that allow them to creatively challenge the protagonist rather than just being like, I'm just a guy who can punch harder.
I'm so excited. I was very glad to hear that my friend Clovis told me that One Piece took a lot of it from JoJo, because JoJo, in my personal opinion, has the best fights in anime as of right now. Some of the best fights and in general has my favorite power system. It made other anime fights suck for me. Like I just enjoy them. I could never go back to watching My Hero Academia after that. Like I just couldn't. Where it's just like they just no hate really on. This is a lot of anime where they just go into their heads. They go into their heads and they go, let me just remember when I was happy. And then they're strong enough and they punch a hole through the guy. You know,
that's awesome though.
It is awesome at first, and then it's awesome like the 10th time. But then like after like a lot of that, you know, it's kind of not. It gets old. It gets old. Not that there's not creative fights in like My Hero and other stuff, but sorry, what were you going to say something, Adriana?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yes. So I like it because it's not like, oh, plot twist, like I just, I'm losing, but then all of a sudden I'm getting the power to win and I didn't have any, plan for this to happen or whatever.
There's none of that in JoJo.
With JoJo, it's like, oh, you think I'm losing and now I'm not, but I knew the whole time. And like it's like something that was always meant to happen. Like that's the thing. It's like, it's not like, they win. Whoever wins, whatever happens because it was supposed to happen, and they don't like shy away from that like kind of meta stance. Yeah.
I would say in One Piece, I would say, I think everything y'all are saying is true. It's very creative in its fights. Don't get too excited about fight choreography. Like I truly, it is not very focused on its fighting at all. And the fights that do happen, obviously, physical strength is a big factor. A big thing of One Piece is that it's been happening for so long, and it's about somebody's journey to become, the king and get himself to a level where he's. So there is a focus on physical ability, and there's a ceiling that is established very early on at like what a capable person looks like. But the fights, for the most part, happen and are fueled by emotion and ideology much more than like physical ability and like who's the coolest guy,
which you will find I would keep that in mind as you watch part 1, not on your phone, and part 2, and every part, because that is at the core of even those fights. And I'll say this: part 1 and 2 don't have like most people's favorite fights, but there still is that core ideology in them. Were you about to say something, Adriana?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just now.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut anyone off. I know I'm talking a lot, but
You're good.
Yes, I really am excited for you to watch it through that lens. And since you have now would you say that you've set our expectations for how to go into the first episode?
Sure.
Or the first chapters?
Yeah. To set everybody's expectations, I think the One Piece is a series that wants you to have fun with it, and it is very much a story-driven thing. And I would say, there's going to be some times where there's stuff that is set up that is not going to be paid off for 500 to 700 chapters.
Yeah.
I think that is fun. And I think
They're like,
part
that
of
sounds
it
good to me.
is I do love very much that Oda writes that way, where he will have something in mind. And it is so clear. The story that he's telling is a story that seems like, if you look at old One Piece, it seems like a story that was always going to be told. And I do love that he, at no point does it feel like he has run out of stuff. It feels like it is this long because it needs to be this long.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
And I love that. At no point have I been like, we're still going? And I would just ask, obviously, I know it's my favorite thing in the world, and I love it so much. I think it's the best thing ever. Obviously, it is a story. Come at it as you are, and don't, I'm not asking you to expect it to be the best thing in the world. Just be open and have a little bit of fun, and I would love that.
I would say, well, to bring my friend Clovis up again, he was like, yeah, you probably won't like it for 400 chapters. That was his guy.
Really?
Well, he was like, you probably won't you won't love it. Before he's like, it's fine at first. Was kind of his thing, but he's also a guy who downplays a lot of his own enjoyment of stuff. I would say that mentality, I would take the same. Like it sounds exactly what I would say to someone. One, except don't watch JoJo alone. Watch it, laugh at part 1, and how ridiculous it is, and laugh at part 2 and how purposely ridiculous it is with other people, and honestly with every part. If you can, watch it with someone. But going into JoJo's is ultimately about, and Araki has said this himself, think of it as a celebration of humanity. It is more focused on its themes typically than it's just the individual characters, although its individual characters are some of my favorite in fiction. It is about how people deal with fate. Just keep that in mind, and what they need to face it.
I don't know if that's the best way to approach it as a new fan, though.
That's my opinion. I wish someone
it's a great way to view it in general, for sure. But I think that I don't know, if that works for you, great. But also, if you find yourself not really getting that, but just you're able to enjoy it, because it really oscillates between taking itself you taking it seriously and then you not at all. So just, I would say, go with the flow, that would
also
be my advice.
Kind of how you were saying, there's things that won't come up for 500 chapters. In JoJo's, there are things that will happen and you'll be like, wow, what a setup.
No. They will never come back.
Waving goodbye. Because either it's not what you think, or it's just not what you think.
But you know what? Didn't you have fun though?
Yeah. But didn't you have fun? Because often enough, there's specifically. I can't wait to get to part 4 because there's a big one in part 4. But anyway, often enough though.
I know what you're talking about.
Often enough though, it's not actually that. Typically, it's small things. There's a meme in the judge community called Araki Forgot. And it's more of a meme. It's not really, honestly, that accurate, because there's actually a lot of things that there's actually a lot of consistency if you really analyze his work, if you really analyze the story. There's a lot of things that actually are consistent. It's just all so kind of complicated and weird that at first glance it feels like, is that a contradiction?
Mhm.
If you feel that way, come to us, and we will explain.
We'll tell you how you're wrong.
Yeah. And also, if you're wondering, like, what are these themes that Josh and Adriana and Hayden are talking about, we can get into it. Because
Well,
I'll be
that's
honest.
what this is for.
Exactly. I did not, when I watched all of JoJo's, literally the first 5 parts, when I binged it, I did not really know what he was trying to say. I could not really tell you what was he cooking.
Yeah.
But also, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, you're good.
But also, I'm also just a guy who, I'm very in the moment when I watch things, and I can't necessarily I can't pay attention to what's happening and also try to figure out the plot while it's going. So maybe you will have a different experience. Maybe you'll just get it.
Mayhaps.
But yeah, anything else to say? Anything? Actually, we should specifically for part 1. The way we should
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
We should start steering this, I think, to the
To
end.
the
We're
end, yes.
at a ways in.
Yeah.
I would love to hear as well from y'all what y'all think I should know. I got to talk about what you should know going into One Piece. I'd love to hear from y'all what I should know going into JoJo's, and then maybe our predictions for what the other's going to feel, and then just end with what do we do first for next episode?
Cool.
I really, truly think that I know Josh is talking about all the major themes and everything. I go full mind blank when I watch JoJo. I think the best way to enjoy it is just not think critically about it. Not necessarily not think critically, because I don't necessarily
I agree
agree with that. But I think that one of the best ways to enjoy JoJo is just by opening yourself up to accept everything that is said.
And you'll get it later, and it'll be that much sweeter when you retroactively realize all the themes, especially on rewatches or whatever. But the first time around, just you're along for the ride, and then you'll, once you really get into it and you kind of learn the language of everything, then towards the 5 and 6, you'll be watching it differently. But
You'll have a Rocky vision.
Yeah, be ready for cool fights too. I mean, I think that a lot of my personal enjoyment of JoJo comes from the really cool and creative fights. So
Yeah, and they pop off more. They start popping off more personally for me in part 3, more towards the latter half of part 3.
Cool.
Then they start going kind of insane. But yes, I actually really, to piggyback off of their point, everything that you know about quote unquote storyboarding, screenwriting, pacing, just all those bullshit words that are conventional, storytelling, just forget about it. It's not important. It's not going to help you enjoy it. Not until probably later.
Hell yeah.
cool.
And every part gets better.
I'm excited. It sounds like I am preparing myself to watch this in a similar, not the same, to how I watch Fast and Furious, which is exciting
Yes.
for me.
Honestly,
I'm gonna cry. The fact that you said
I'm gonna cry.
That actually made me so sad. It's better.
Josh,
than,
you have to understand that he's an egg right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I also will say that is not me saying that I don't think JoJo's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think Fast and Furious is genuinely very entertaining at a lot of points, and I will say I assume that JoJo's going to be better written, but I think Fast and Furious is very fun, and it takes quite a bit to get good. But obviously, we'll let the series speak for itself a little bit.
yeah.
Do we want to do quick round of predictions for what our adversaries are going to think of our respective series?
I like the word adversaries. Yeah.
We're trying to win.
Yeah.
Hey, this is actually
The
about
goal-
which one's
Wait,
better.
we
The goal
should
is to, at the
actually-
very end, have
Yes.
the other, have your series have the majority of the table say it's their favorite.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm at a strong disadvantage there,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm literally willing to say I think I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
think
am.
3 of us here?
Oh, I 100% think I'm going to like One Piece more than JoJo.
Why?
I think I'm going to cry a lot while reading One Piece, and I think
How
that's
many
going to make...
times have you seen JoJo, Hayden? I'm just
I've only seen it once all the way through.
okay.
Oh, brother. You're
Well-
still an egg as far as I'm concerned.
No.
The second watch of JoJo was pivotal for my JoJo fan enjoyment, just for me personally. I cried a lot during JoJo.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think because I can really only determine that after you've seen 2 parts, then I can guess your favorite part 3 character, and then after you've seen part 3, then I can, you know what I mean? I have to learn an algorithm or something, you know? So
Oh wait, were you trying to guess what his favorite parts,
yeah.
what his favorite arc or his
We're
favorite
making
part?
predictions about the other's reaction to the series.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't love Polnareff, you're dead to me.
Polnareff was, when I was watching part 3, was my favorite character.
Really?
Wow.
Okay. I was
Adriana's least favorite character.
at the time.
It was also my least favorite character at the time. I love him now. Cool. So how many episodes? I'm so curious. How many episodes was Polnareff in when you left off?
I don't know.
Oh damn! How much do you even remember the plot at all? Barely. I mean, it's been 2 years, right?
I think we need to move to Britain.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
we need to.
Okay. I've been waiting for this for so long.
You know what's great is that we're friends and we could talk to each other whenever we want.
Yes.
Also,
Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, Adriana, your predictions are kind of
To
being
be
withheld
decided.
right now.
Yeah.
I would love to hear as well your predictions about what you think you're going to have with One Piece.
I think that I don't know. Something that I just know so little about it. That's the only thing. Also, fanon is a real thing. Fanon versions of characters that you don't know if what's accurate or not.
100%.
But so yeah, I know so little. I can't even make any opinion decisions about any specific thing. I do. All of that sounds good though. Like I said, from what you've said and from what I've heard, I like Last Airbender a lot, and so I might like it for those same reasons. But yeah, I got nothing. I need more information. I'm just not informed.
Yeah.
I personally think this is a crazy prediction that I think I'm going for because I've known nothing about One Piece. I think Part 5 is going to be your favorite because in what you've talked about, I think Part 5 tells the most similar story thematically to One Piece.
Cool. Real quick though, Hayden, what do you think of One? I guess we've heard it a little bit. Your predictions for One Piece.
Oh, I 100% think that One Piece is going to become one of my favorite things. I love kind of weird magic systems, which I know One Piece has. I think that'll be fucking wonderful. I think I'm going to fall in love with the characters, and I think because it is one story, it's different parts, which I love that about JoJo. That is one of my favorite parts about JoJo. But I think because it is one story, I am going to obsess over it a little bit more, and I do think it has a very high likelihood of becoming one of my favorite media pieces, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this.
Hell yeah. Josh, predictions?
I think that you are going to be really angry a lot during watching JoJo. I think you're because you're gonna get invested, and then when things don't go the way that they feel like they should, or just come out of left field, you and your critic perception, your critic mind is gonna be like, no. But I think that eventually you'll come to appreciate a lot of the stuff, especially as we talk about it. I think the way that your love for One Piece is gonna, bleed into it's gonna gush over on our side. I think our love for JoJo hopefully will do the same for you. I think your favorite part. I think your favorite part. I said I wouldn't say that. I don't think.
You don't think?
I think that there's gonna be some specific moments in each part after part 3. I'm going to rephrase this. Okay, I think that you will be at some point in the middle of part 3. I'm hoping that it does kind of the same thing for you as it did for me, where I realized all of a sudden I like this show. And that's all I'll say. For One Piece, I don't know if there's a chance it will immediately at least dethrone JoJo for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it will become a thing I really respect and cherish. I'm hoping it does. And I think that Zoro is going to be my favorite character for a while. I think you're going to meet him, and I'm going to love him, and he's going to be one of my faves.
Does he remind you of anyone?
Probably
I'm from JoJo.
Yeah, probably.
Because I know who your favorite JoJo.
Oh, I think I know who your favorite JoJo is going to be.
Okay. I will say, for fans of what's his name, Jotaro, you might have a friend in Zoro.
That's what
Yeah.
I was like, from what I know about him, and the reason Josh is saying that, I think it's because he reminds him of Jotaro.
Yeah, I'm a big Jotaro head.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it'll be so fun comparing finding counterparts to
Yes.
Oh,
man.
You're right.
because that's what I already do automatically, but I don't have any reason to.
Yeah.
Hell
Did you like Joseph?
That's part 2.
Yeah.
I thought he was interesting.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, I guess
That's
we'll
about
see.
Yep.
Okay, so we want to get into the homework.
Yes.
Do we want to have this discussion on the mic or off the mic?
I think we should do it.
I
We should
think-
say on the so if people following along will know.
I think can't you put that in the description or something?
We could.
I think we should briefly.
It's whatever,
We
yeah.
can decide after what we actually do, but I think if you start this, you should my personal opinion, either just watch the first episode, or watch the first 3 episodes and don't go beyond.
Okay.
Does anyone disagree with it?
I don't remember
No.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well
Cool.
then you need to do that.
I'll
Hayden.
say right here, I'll watch 3 episodes for sure.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Are y'all comfortable for next episode, watching or reading 7 chapters of One Piece?
Yes.
Is Monday we're meeting?
Figure that out.
Potentially.
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out. It also might be 2 weeks.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Wait, Monday?
7. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but
7's fine.
7 is most chapters are 20 pages. The first chapter is 50 pages. I also
It's complex.
I think the first arc is 7 chapters. I would say y'all can decide right now either 7 chapters or 3 chapters.
Okay.
I
I'll
say
do
7.
Yeah.
I'll do
Yeah.
7. I
I
already
said
read,
let's
I
get
already
to
read
the
the
first
longest
arc.
first chapter, so
Cool.
book it.
It's a easy to go through a chapter in 10 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
All right.
And now we say the tagline to the
Yeah.
show, which we
Yeah.
all know,
Yeah.
and we all
Yes.
say it together at
Plus
the end of every
all
episode.
I'm gonna actually kill you.
I don't know what is it called. What's a big saying in One Piece? What's a big tagline?
God, they don't really have a whole lot of catchphrases in there.
Oh well.
Well, neither does JoJo.
Yeah, it does.
Other than being the stand cries.
Yara Yara does it?
I'm gonna actually, you're actually
Yeah,
Josh.
yeah, I hated that.
I
That
don't
was
know if you
awful.
guys
Good
didn't
grief.
see, but there's a machete in Josh's skull right now.
Adriana, I'm gonna need you to lighten up for the rest of for the remainder of our years on this podcast. I'm gonna need you to lighten up. Every JoJo kind of has one.
Sure.
So
Anyway,
you need to rewatch the show.
Is there anything that needs to be said before we begin?
I love you. That wasn't to any of you. That was to the listeners.
And I love you. And that was to one person at this table. And I'm not going to say who. And to the listeners, you're on thin ice. But with that, I've been Clayton.
I've been Hayden.
I'm still Adriana.
Oh.
And I will remain Josh.
And we've been a podcast. Thank
Boom.
you so much.
Boom. Bye. JoJo was One Piece.
Bizarre peas.
Bye.